What's up, Mets fans? Welcome back to another Mets Hot Stove Winter Meetings edition. Final day of the winter meetings, and we cannot end the winter meetings without having my guy Hector here to talk all about the great New York Mets. Hector, my man, how you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. I think I'm doing a lot better than our Mets are doing, and a lot better than our emotions as Mets fans are doing. But other than that, personally, pretty good, pretty good. How you doing, my brother? Good to see you,
uh,
man, and good to be here. Thank you for the
yeah,
invite.
yeah, man. It's a culture shock, no doubt about it. I don't think any Met fan, we had a feeling that there was going to be a shakeup of the core. I think we all believed that, right? Not to this extent. Like, even if Nimmo got traded and Pete Alonso didn't return, we all thought Edwin Diaz was a no-brainer coming back. I don't think anybody thought this was possible. And then, just like that, in a few weeks, the core is gone. That's it. The core is gone. And my biggest thing, and we'll get into all the Pete Alonso stuff, Diaz, Nimmo, all that fun stuff. But my biggest thing is before the Nimmo trade, when David Stern spoke in regards to the potential offseason for the New York Mets, they specifically asked him, "What are your plans, and what do you want to do to improve this team?" He said it outright. He says, "We're going to be looking at the top end of the pitcher market, starting pitcher market, and we're going to look at the top end of the outfield market." That was, and of course, bullpen as well. But he specifically said that very early on in the offseason. And 3 weeks has passed. The winter meetings is just about over. And we had to hear him after the Diaz signing come on and speak nonsense, and now all of a sudden talk about the prospects like it's all of a sudden a rebuild. The problem that I don't have a problem with a direction, right? I don't think you, again, I'm not speaking for you, but I don't think most Met fans would be mad if you said, went in a certain direction and just said what you want to do. Nobody, like, people will be mad, people won't agree. Some might not agree about this. But if you want to completely take everything away and rebuild and start with the prospects and do it all over, say that. Don't play a game 3 weeks ago and saying you're going to be in the market for these big names, and 3 weeks later you're talking about all these prospects and all the holes we can fill with these prospects. Heck, what are your thoughts in general about before the players, David Stearns in general, about the back and forth and the total 180 than what he said a couple of weeks ago?
No, I'm right there with you. I've been saying it the last couple of days on my shows and everything else, and anything I do, or anybody I've spoken to in the spaces, whatever. This is a rebuild, ladies and gentlemen. This
Mhm.
is a rebuild, and they've been throwing smoke screens in front of us, trying to pull a blindfold over our eyes and trying to fool us. You know what I'm saying? Last off season, Steve Cohen implored everybody, challenged everybody, actually chastised us as fans for not showing up to the ballpark. And we come out to the ballpark, and they reward us with a shitty season, right? With a shitty season, and then now what so far has been a shitty off season, and because it's a rebuild. And like you said, all I'm asking for is honesty. Tell
Yep.
me what the hell we're doing, and then I can decide whether I buy into it or not. And I can decide how much I want to invest into it or not. You know what I'm saying? But don't try to tell me, yeah, we're trying to compete. And I said this since last year. What the hell is compete? What do you mean by compete?
Yep.
Compete could be anything. Tell me you're out here and you're legitimately trying to win a World Series. And that's not what they're doing. They're sure as hell not doing that in 2026. And I understand before anybody says, I keep saying this over and over and over. I understand it's December 10th. If you want to look at him and he's smirking bigger than Rob just did when he tells you, I feel good about the things that we're getting going to get done this offseason. He just said that to us yesterday. He just said that to us yesterday. So right now, I feel like I can't, not that I can't trust, but I just don't know what the hell is going on. And that upsets me. That upsets me. And I'm confused.
Yep.
Well, you know what? I shouldn't say I'm confused. I know what the hell. I know. But just
Now,
tell me.
It's obvious.
Just tell me. It's a rebuild. It's a full rebuild. It's a full rebuild. He's been telling us, and we're trying to walk away from it, and we're trying to be in denial about it. And no, he's just trying to hype those guys up for trade value and no, so on and so. No, he is riding on his prospects, on his player development, on him, whoever the hell he drafts this upcoming draft, and so on and so forth, and getting those guys up here in the next couple of years, and then maybe next offseason or the offseason beyond that we'll go out there and we'll make a splash. And maybe then finally he overextends himself and he makes an offer that someone who actually will really want to sign without being pushed by Steve Cohen like he was last year to bring Pete back when he didn't want to bring Pete back and to sign Juan Soto. Because I don't give a damn. Nobody says if Steve Cohen doesn't go above and beyond, Juan Soto's not a New York Met either.
Yep. And that's the thing. Like, we know three things about David Stearns is that he won't give long-term deals to basically anybody. He will never be the aggressor in any type of move, and he'll never overpay. Never. Free agent wise or prospect wise, he will never overpay. He sets a value to these players and doesn't budge. This is why Diaz is a Dodger. This is why Pete Alonso is an Oriole. And what's even worse, now again, you know, most people know in this channel. If you're new to the channel, I'm going to say it right out. I am not the biggest fan of Pete Alonso, right? I respect the hell out of him. I gave him all the credit in the world with the season he had this year. But the disrespect of not even offering him a contract is downright disrespectful. Like, this is Jose Reyes all over again. Like, that's what it was. And on top of that is the fact that now we're seeing it. David Stearns does not budge at all. He puts a price on a player, and maybe he'll mingle up a little bit, but not much more. If you're Diaz, heck, if you're Pete Alonso, why would you even take an offer from another team and go back to Stearns when you know he's a stickler for stuff like this? He doesn't change. He's not going to overpay. He never does. And this is why when I did the live stream about the breaking news with Pete Alonso, I said, this is not about Pete Alonso. This isn't about Edwin Diaz. This is about David Stearns. Never going above and beyond. At least once. Do it once. Show that you have a pulse. Show that you know show us that you know what you're doing. Because there is no direction. There is no plan. If this was your plan all along to rebuild and get rid of everybody, as many people as you can, for these prospects, say it. Because you know what? There'll be more than enough Met fans that are the prospect huggers of the world, and they'll love that. Because you know what? The same Met fans that are bitching and moaning about Pete Alonso being an Oriole or Diaz being a Dodger or Nimmo getting traded are the same ones during the season that didn't want to trade our prospects for a Sandy Alcantara or a top-line starting pitcher that this team desperately needed last year. So a lot of Met fans who were the prospect huggers didn't want to trade these guys are going to get what they want. But you know what? They'll be the first ones to bitch when his team won 76 games next year and not even close to the playoffs. And Carlos Mendoza is out. And here's another thing that nobody really, I don't know if you talked about it. Heck, I haven't heard anybody else talk about it. I brought it up on the Alonso stream. David Stearns is letting Carlos Mendoza to be a lame duck, giving him nothing, basically giving him everything to fail. And that is even worse. Like, if I'm Carlos Mendoza, I quit. I resign. Seriously. Honestly, like, how can he be Carlos Mendoza? And I felt, he was on SNY trying to give all the positivity and stuff like that.
Yep.
He knew what was going on. But he's the manager. He has no control over this stuff. They didn't even pick the guys he wanted on his bench. Replacement guys for him. That's what it is. Like, you hire a manager. He has no input on any bench coach, any coach at all. And now you're giving him a worse team and say, oh, by the way, you're on the hot seat. Like, how do you do that? Like, you're setting him up to fail. You're setting this organization. So, and it's not like, Steve Cohen chose Carlos Mendoza. David Stearns chose Carlos Mendoza. Heck, and I'm just so fed up with David Stearns is that the fact that I think he put himself on the hot seat. To be quite honest with you, like I know Steve Cohen
Oh hell
just
yeah.
text I think the Post talking about he understands the Met fans are upset, and there's a long off season to go. Like I don't
Oh,
want to
Steve
hear
Cohen
that
said
from
this.
Cohen.
Steve Cohen spoke.
He text whoever I think John Heyman from the Post,
Probably
and
Heyman.
and he tweeted it out. So basically, he all he said was Met fans are upset. There's a long off season to go, and we can still put together a playoff team. Steve, you signed off on all this. You didn't wait. You weren't in the Caribbean chilling on your yacht, and then David Stearns, said, "Hey, listen, look what I just did. Nothing. Pete Alonso's an Oriole. Diaz is a Dodger." No, Cohen signed off on all this. And you know what? Now that Cohen hasn't been meddling in the baseball side, this is all David Stearns. When Steve Cohen signed Juan Soto, because David Stearns didn't do it, when Pete Alonso last year was signed by Steve Cohen in a secret meeting, every other thing that was touched by David Stearns was a disaster. So why do we assume that what he touches this offseason is going to work? He's won nothing. Like we forget that just because the Brewers consistently won in a bad NL Central for years
Mm-hmm.
and always choked in the playoffs. They give him, they throw flowers at him like he's won championships. I'm sorry, but I've been saying this for 2 years. I don't trust the guy. He's a snake oil salesman, and he is the perfect guy for propaganda because he spills all this nonsense. Last year at the trade deadline, he was the only GM or president of baseball ops that came on an interview 30 minutes after the trade deadline to save face because he didn't do his job at the deadline and spilling up and spewing up the prospects pitchers and say Kodai Senga's coming back, Jesse Winker's coming back, and all that nonsense because you failed at the deadline and you got a lot of heat for it. So you had to figure out a way to spin it. And then he did it again yesterday after Diaz signed.
Mm-hmm.
After Diaz signed, what did he do? He comes on SNY and he spins it into a positive. Oh well, now we got a lot of holes for these prospects that we love so much.
Right.
Come on, that is bullshit. It's a bunch of propaganda, and Met fans are pissed, but there's still going to be a lot that are going to be like, oh well, yeah, he's right, and they're going to fall for it. And you know what? You'll still go to games. I'll still go to games because we're morons. But it's frustrating.
Even me, Rob, though, right? Even you know how much I go to. Even I've been saying the last couple of days, I don't see myself going to as many games. Of course, I'm gonna still go. I love going to the ballpark. I love going to the ballpark. It's nothing good like being at a live game. You know what I'm saying? But I also told my boy Quays earlier today. Shout out to my boy Quays. We were talking, and we're hoping and trying to plan on going to spring training, right? And full disclosure, and shout out to everybody, Mets, Blues, Ray. I see you guys, man. Shout out to you, Ray. I appreciate you. Say you watch the replays. Thumbs up. I appreciate that, man. And anybody here, man, you already know I do my own thing. Come check me out when Robert's not doing his thing, man. You know what I'm saying? But I told Quays, like, yo, bro, again, full everybody knows I've had contact with Mendoza. Mendoza's been good to me, you know what I'm saying, a couple of occasions or whatever the case may be. So I said, yo, Quays, we better enjoy this little axis or whatever it is that we have with Mendy while we can. Cause he ain't long for the Mets right now.
Nope.
He ain't long. David Stearns put the X on his back, but he put it on Carlos Mendoza first.
Yeah.
He put it on Carlos Mendoza first. You know what I'm saying? And I was never somebody here that was screaming about, oh yeah, bring this guy here. Look what he's done with no money. Imagine him with money. I always maintained he needs to show me. He needs to show me that he knows how to operate with money. And so far, he hasn't shown me that. Now, this could be all part of his master plan. This all be all part of his master plan. Shout out to Cindy. I think I saw Cindy say earlier in the comments where 2025 might have screwed him up because we won when he probably shouldn't have won, and maybe he would have started doing this earlier. But you know what? If that's what you believe the whole time, then go ahead and have the guts to do it.
Yep.
Now, I just said a little while ago, my own stream, I got to give him credit because what he's done takes guts.
Yeah.
He's heard us. He's told us, yeah, we take all of this into account. We take how these guys are in the community. We take into account how the fans, we take into account home, go all of this stuff. And he spit at all of it. He
Yep.
spit in all of our faces. He said, you know what? I hear you guys. I don't give a damn. I'm going to show you that I know what to be right.
Yep.
You better be right. And it better be faster, sooner rather than later. Right now, Rob, this is a rebuild, in my opinion. I know
Yeah.
you agree. So I'm
Yep.
expecting 2028. 2028 is when I expect that he's going to try to actually compete. There's that bullshit compete. I've been saying for 2 years, every time it's compete, we're trying to compete. What the hell is compete? What is compete? What does that really mean? That's so vague, right? Are you trying to win the World Series? In my opinion, you ain't trying to do that in 2026. You're trying to compete. You're trying to compete enough to get my ass in the fucking stands,
Mm-hmm.
to get enough people watching on TV so you can sell ad revenue. I said, well, I don't give a damn who owns it because it helps you anyways. That's all
Yep.
you're trying to do. But you ain't fooling me no more. You ain't fooling me no more. And again, it's December 10th. Hopefully, we can look back at this and somebody's good enough or whatever it is, and they clip this and they say, look at this idiot on December 10th losing his mind and calling David Stearns whatever the hell you want to say, or being a hater, because that's what it is. Whenever you criticize, you're a hater. Call it whatever you want. He needs to show me. He needs to show me that he can operate in New York City.
Yep. I totally agree. And I want to give a shout out to Hakeem with the super chat. Lindor is next to go. Yeah, I find that hard to believe.
I wouldn't be surprised, Rob. You might
Well,
as
yeah,
well.
yeah. You know what? Don't I want to put Stearns past anything. I mean, he's he's definitely he surprised me already. Like, I mean, I didn't trust him, but to do this is on another level. So you never know. I mean, Lindor could ask to be out as well. He's be like, "What the hell are you doing?" You know,
Right.
I got a few prime years left. Like, I don't want to be here if this is a rebuild, and I don't blame him. To be quite honest with you, I
Rob,
fucking
we heard, sorry to interrupt, we heard even before he get here. I know you heard it because you're a good fan, and if you do what we do, you got to get informed, right? So you probably seen the stuff. And one thing we heard before Stearns came here, he's not a good relationship guy.
yeah,
He's not a good communicator per se. Edwin Diaz, you can say he's right or wrong for feeling that way, felt a certain way that there wasn't a communication there when they bring in Devin Williams. Okay, you want to say who the hell is he? He was a free agent anyways. How Sal and BT was saying today when they kicked me off the fucking line when I called and all of this nonsense. All right, whatever. Whatever. They tell him Pete Alonso is getting over there. Oh, I don't need to meet with Pete Alonso. But my thing is this: do you think, like, what do you think David, what do you think Francisco Lindor and Juan Soto are thinking right now?
yeah,
And did he have a conversation with them and say, guys, this is what we're
no,
looking to change things up. We'll bring these guys back. But honestly, I'm not really trying to bring them back. I don't think he did that. And now I'm pretty sure those guys have to have made a phone call. We've called whoever the hell they communicate, like, yo, what are we doing?
yeah,
What are we doing?
yeah.
You're
It's
gonna tell me we're gonna go out there and we're gonna sign Kyle Tucker and Cody Bellinger? Give me a freaking break. I gotta
yeah,
see it to believe it. I gotta see it to believe it. You go on there and you look for me, the guy that'll sign for 2 years, that'll be the guys that we get.
yeah.
And those guys aren't signing for those type of terms.
Well, heck, that's the problem. That was the problem that I've been saying the whole time. Like, there is no good player or a guy who's been often injured. All guys who are often injured or guys that haven't been good in years are the guys that take 3 year deals or 2 year deals
Mhm.
or a 1 year deal with an option or something like that. 2 year deal with an option. That's what you get, right? You get the Sean Manaeas, you get the Griffin Cannons, the Frankie Montas, you get Clay Holmes, who
You have
is
a
a
glove, Lulu?
you know. So like this is what happens. Like he knows what he's doing. He hopes he's like, you know what? I want the guy, but you know what? If Kyle Schwarber is dumb enough to take 3 years, $120 million when there's 4 or 5 years waiting on the table from other teams, great. I got a bargain. I won. I got it on a lower end deal, and we got the player. I think that if he don't get him, he's like, you know what? I valued Schwarber 3 years, 120. I'm not giving him more. Lose out. That's why the Phillies got him. and so on and so forth. Like right away when Diaz went to the Dodgers, I'm like, there's no way they're signing Pete Alonso. Like Pete Alonso went through the side door of the hotel to meet with the Baltimore Orioles. That deal was signed and delivered. That was why he was there. He wasn't talking to anybody else. He clearly had conversations with the Orioles, and he was there to sign the paper. That was it. So it's like, I just don't understand the logic. Like, if you're not going to trade prospects to get proven players in here, and you're not going to spend, and sometimes you have to overspend and give one more year or another 10, 15, $20 million on a contract. You have to do that sometimes. But Stearns doesn't do that. Stearns doesn't even give prospects away, big prospects away to bring in proven talent. Like, if there's, I don't want to go into the season next year and let's say these prospects seem pretty good. And maybe the Mets find a way to look like a good team somehow, some way. Do I expect him to do anything at the deadline worth doing? Like, that's the other problem. He half-asses off seasons. He leaves a ton of question marks going into his season. And then when those, reclamation projects or those question marks on your roster don't work out, instead of just needing bullpen help at the deadline, you need a starter. You need a bat. You need a bench piece. Like, you need everything. And that's hard to do at the deadline, especially when you hug these prospects. And you wonder why Frankie Montas was a disaster. Why Sean Manaea, let's be honest, I called it from day one. A guy changes his mechanics around completely from what he'd done his entire career. You think at over 30 years old, your body's not going to try to adjust and could possibly get hurt? Like, I called it during the offseason last year. Like, I'm not saying you shouldn't have signed Sean Manaea, but that was your big acquisition for your top of your rotation. Like, it's so stupid. And there was less guys last year, so maybe I can understand. This year, and me and Chris talked about it on so many hot stoves already, it was so hard for David Stearns to fuck up this offseason. There were so many different pathways to have a good offseason. Even if you thought of a different pathway to sign or trade for guys, or me, or anybody, there was like 6 different lanes he could have went down to choose from, and he could have still had a good offseason. So many different combinations of pitchers and position players. And you know what he did? He snuck out the back door. He snuck out the exit door and found his own path. The path that doesn't work, clearly. So, unfortunately, we have to be here on December 10th. And isn't the QBC like today or tomorrow or this weekend?
QBC is this weekend. Yes,
Yeah,
Saturday.
it's this weekend. The last time I went to a QBC, Jacob deGrom just signed with the Rangers.
Bro.
It's going to be a fucking disaster.
I was there.
We were there.
Yeah. I was there.
Yeah, it happened the night before.
Yeah, I think that might have been the first one I went to, or maybe the second one. But yeah, unbelievable.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to the QBC this year. Unfortunately, I can't go. It's going to be a fucking shit show.
Exactly. It's going to be a fucking zoo, bro.
Oh my God.
It's going to be a fucking zoo. Listen, real quick, if I may, Angela, you can call it a retool. And I agree with you. You don't sign Juan Soto to damn near $800 million or whatever the hell it was, $765 million, $800 million, and do a rebuild. But that is exactly why they won't tell us that they're doing a rebuild, because we're going to say, how the hell do you do that? That makes no sense. And again, if it was up to David Stearns, we wouldn't have Soto here for that contract. I guarantee you that. In my opinion, the way it went down was last offseason, there was a back and forth between Cohen and Stearns. Cohen stepped up and said, we're going to do this. Stearns said, fine, no problem, we'll do this. But from this point forward, I'm going to do this my way. And if we don't win, I'm definitely going to do this my way. And Steve Cohen said, you know what? No problem. That's why I bring you here for. But we got to do this right now. And I saw somebody mention earlier, amazing day. Ain't going to be no amazing day. They haven't announced an amazing day. Cancel an amazing. You can't cancel what you don't plan. And they haven't planned an amazing day because they knew that if last year got ugly, what do you think would happen? Talk about QBC. Listen, the QBC It's gonna get, but they're not there. It's just fans there, whatever. It's content creators there, be some
Yeah.
SNY people there. But Amazing Day, if they did Amazing Day and they did a panel like what they did last year, you think they got booed last year? Oh boy.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
boy.
going to be a
And
problem.
it wouldn't even be an amazing day. It would be a miserable day, is what it would
It would
be.
be. Yeah. Let's just go a couple of spots with the super chats as well. And I think you just spoke on this, but with Angela, she was saying, Rob, you nailed it about Stern since day one. He's cocky,
Mhm.
grin is sickening. For Hector, you don't pay Soto. And exactly. It's 100% true. It's a retool, rebuild, whatever you want to call it. Cohen wanted to make the splash. He wanted to overcome the Yankees. He wanted to beat out the Yankees when it came to Juan Soto, right? But we were all on board. Nobody wasn't on board with that. But nobody could have predicted last year in the offseason that within 365 days, Juan Soto last year, a couple days ago, signed with the New York Mets. What was it? Yesterday, a year ago, he signed with the New York Mets. So did that this 365 days later, the Mets are doing this. It's insane. And Angela, thank you for the super chat. I do appreciate that. And 8 months being a member of the channel, I appreciate that. That is awesome as always. And Juan, I got you next just to talk about this. Stern thinks he's shopping at Dollar Tree. This fool gonna work there soon if he keeps this up. What a bad time to be a Met fan. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong, Juan. This is like, and there's been a lot of Met fans. Heck, again, I'm not speaking for you or anything like that, but we spoke many times. We've done shows when Stearns was the president of baseball ops earlier, but like, I just don't know how to predict what he's doing. Like, he's an enigma. He doesn't make any sense. He talks around every question. He I don't know. Sometimes I don't even know what he's talking about. Like, it just doesn't even make sense. He's in on everyone, but not really. Like, these are the reports we're getting over the last 24 hours. He's in on everybody, but if it's the right deal and the player fits, like every free agent that is top of the market fits this team. How many more holes do we have? Like, that's the we don't have first baseman, we don't have a left fielder, we don't have a center fielder. We're not really sure about second base. Well, I'm sorry, third base. Maybe Brett Beatty, most likely. But our rotation's in shambles. Even though we got 7 guys that SNY put on a list, and was like, oh yeah, look at that rotation. Can't wait. Like, it's sickening because this was not supposed to happen under Steve Cohen. Like, I'm not saying that, guys are getting older, you want to try to retool, and that's an understandable move. But these guys are what, 30 to 32 years old, 33 years old. These guys are right in their prime, and you just completely getting rid of everything. Heck. And with what happened last year and missing the playoffs, we have Kodai Senga basically quitting on this team last year when the team needed starting pitching. We had so many guys that didn't perform. We made all those bullpen moves at the deadline. Other than Tyler Rogers, nobody pitched well, and it was a disaster. It was a complete choke job, and now we have to deal with this, and it doesn't make sense. Like, this offseason, to me, it's over. Like, honestly, they're not signing Tucker. They're not signing Bellinger. They're probably not going to sign Valdez. You might see Michael King because he'll probably take a 3-year deal. Nothing's
Mhm.
really like this. This isn't. It's December 10th, 2 months before pitchers and catchers, and it's over. Like, it doesn't matter what they do. They're not signing anybody big or trading for anybody big. Like, now I got to sit here for 2 months. I already got my spring training booked, plane, hotel, rental car. Like, I'm ready to go. Like, I'm always excited when baseball starts. It's the start of spring. It gets me going. Gets those juices flowing a little bit. But man, like, I know we went into seasons when this team wasn't good for years, but we were dealing with the Wilpons, and this wasn't supposed to happen. Like, this is so demoralizing. Like, I'm not excited anymore. Like, I'm not. Like, I just don't trust this organization anymore. And that's sad to say, the fifth year of Steve Cohen owning the Mets. I don't trust this organization to do what's right and put a winning product on the field. And it feels like we're back to square one, where do we have to go through losing seasons because you're going to try these prospects out, and that was your master plan all to your fan base, and now we have to, get excited for an offseason that we're going to make some big moves, and on December 10th, I think it's kind of over. Like, I'm not even refreshing my Twitter account. I ain't doing that. I don't care what reporters say. It doesn't matter. Like, unless I wake up and everybody and my phone's blowing up and everybody's saying, "Oh, look who we got." Maybe I'll get excited. But you know what? The emotion, they took that out of me when it comes to being excited about this season now and the rest of the off season. It's sad.
No, it's
We don't
hard to
deserve
be
it.
excited right now, Rob. It's hard to be excited unless you got the blindfolds on and you're just gonna totally be an apologist for David Stearns and everything he does, or just buy into like you gotta show me something. Listen, he has a plan. We may not know what the hell the plan is. We may not like the plan, but he has a plan, right? And hopefully, eventually, that plan leads into us winning in 2028 and beyond. Because it's not going to be 2026, not on December 10th. And then maybe you guys that are in here talking about you guys are overreacting, da 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 this and that, and all the Stearns Glazers will come back and say, "Oh, you see," but we're just talking about the here and now. We're just talking about the here and now, and the here and now stinks. We did a roundtable. Rob, shout out to CP, shout out to Hayden. When we got heated, we went back and forth about the core and about breaking up the core and who was good and who wasn't good, and Brandon Nimmo this and Pete Alonso that and Jeff McNeil that. Think about this. Out of all of these guys, Jeff McNeil might be the last last guy standing. The guy that mostly hated by the fan base is going to be your platoon first baseman. And if not that, he may be starting in left field to be a placeholder for one of these young guys. But as much as we talked about that, I don't think any of us, after the last couple of seasons, expected for all of these guys to be gone, let go just like that
Yeah.
in one off season.
Yeah.
He said, "Oh yeah, I gotta look in the mirror." Looked in the mirror and said, "What? I'm the motherfucking man. Screw these coaches. All of you, get the hell out of here, and screw these players." I went project hunting, bargain hunting, because my pitching lab was the greatest. That blows up, and I'm gonna put the blame on everybody else. Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
You better be right. You
Yeah.
better be right.
It better be, and that's the issue, and that's going to be the big question of why do this in a situation where you spent all this money on Juan Soto, you still got Lindor for a bunch of years. It's weird. Both things don't make sense here, and that is where we figure out what he's. I mean, we don't know his plan. We have no idea. I think he wakes up and he changes his plan by the day, and that's unfortunate because, like, like he thinks he's in Milwaukee. Like, truly, I don't think he cares that he has all this money. It doesn't change his philosophy at all, and that's a dangerous game to play if you don't get a lot of luck. The way his philosophy works, if he gets a lot of luck, but you know what? It doesn't get exposed in Milwaukee because half that state don't care. More than half the state, they worry about the Packers. They don't care, and he gets away with it. And then when you play in a bad NL Central, and when he was there, the Central wasn't very good, and the Brewers found ways to make the playoffs in those years, and they constantly choked. And it always ended up being, oh, well, he doesn't have the money to add to payroll because at the deadline or in the offseason to get better, bring in the bullpen piece that they need or the starter or a bat. Bullshit. He loved that shit. Because if it did work out, the people he bring in for very cheap at the trade deadline, he looked like a fucking genius. constantly choked because it's not like I'm saying the owner would, oh, let's trade for Juan Soto at the deadline. I'm not saying Milwaukee to do that, but they could have got better players. You think the owner would say, all right, you know what, get who you need to get at the trade deadline. We'll worry about the financial risk later. I don't think David Stern's like, nah, don't worry about it. I got it. I got this. Don't worry. Instead of Juan Soto, I'll get, Darren Ruff. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's shit like that. And for years, heck, and we were doing a roundtable when there was Vogelback and Ruff, Nate Quinn, right? We half-assing deadlines is one of the pet peeves that I hate about what the Mets organization have done. It's not just with David Stearns. It was with Sandy Alderson for all those years where he just never went over the top. And when he finally did, guess what happened? We made the World Series in 2015. When he finally stepped over that line and got a little uncomfortable and finally, moved the needle on.
He was forced to Rob, by mistake. Because don't forget what he really wanted to do. Carlos Gomez. Oh, my.
Correct.
Or Jay Bruce. Jay Bruce was really the target. Oh, my.
Yeah.
And when it got Jay Bruce later anyways, but whatever.
Yeah. And, it was also Justin Upton and all that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, it takes that one leap of faith, that one big move could change. Like, nobody can tell me when the Mets were finally were choking it away in June and July, there was direct needs. And they were starting pitching out there. I don't want to hear everybody say, "Oh, well, they didn't get moved." They didn't get moved because the teams didn't find what they, didn't get the deals they wanted. But why couldn't David Stern saying, "Hey, what do you want?" How about going to the Marlins and saying, "Hey, what do you want for Sandy Alcantara? What do you want? Pick the players, and we'll have a conversation." No, David Stern's probably, offered this guy that nobody probably wants, or this guy maybe they would want. He's gonna lowball the teams, and they're gonna be like, "Get out of here! Like, go back to your little corner, your little desk in Queens, and stay away from us." Like, we talked about the communication factor when it comes to the players. Do we even know if he's a good negotiator when it comes to teams and other executives?
Rob, like somebody said earlier, he's only made trades with like 3 teams, and that's because he's had connections with them.
I mean, it's kind of obvious, right? He brings in guys that he has connections with when it comes to the players, and he's already made deals with the Brewers when he's been with the Mets. So it's like, and again, hey, talk to the Brewers. They got guys we can get. How about Freddie Peralta and Trevor McGill?
Well, I said, and I was telling Rob that the other day. I mean, Rob, Eddie, that the other day on my show where he came on with me, where that's the guy that I think he's really after. That's the guy that he really wants. Everybody talking about trade for Peralta, trade for Alcantara. No. I mean, Scubo, Alcantara. No. His guy is Freddie Peralta, who only has 1-year commitment at $8 million. And if anything, it's probably a guy that he feels he can get an extension with because he knows him. And he'll get an extension that he's comfortable with. Maybe another 3-4 year deal, something like that. That's the guy. You're absolutely right. That's
4 years. 4 years. That beer might go up $5, man. 3 years now. Come on. Be careful with that 4th year, man.
Yeah, right.
Parker will be $200.
Right.
Shit, man. It's like these are this is on December 10th. Everybody, you, me, everybody does content. Mets content on YouTube. We're all talking about the same thing. Like, nobody directly was like, "Oh, I know what David Stearns is doing here. I know this plan." Everybody's confused. Like, everybody's talking like they're completely confused about what's going on because this wasn't expected. He says one thing and does another within a month. And I've been listening to everybody, all different content creators for the Mets. It's like, what are we doing here? And nobody understands the Nimmo, and I know all of us on our own shows talked about this. The Nimmo move and the Devin Williams move can't be graded until what happens or the other moves that could happen that correlate to that. And you can already say the Nimmo trade and the Devin Williams trade is you have to grade it as an F. Because if you don't bring in Tucker or Bellinger or somebody at least close to good as Nimmo or better, it's a stupid trade. Same thing goes for signing Devin Williams. You signed Devin Williams. Clearly, Diaz told you that he wasn't happy. I mean, right or wrong, he says he wasn't happy that you signed Devin Williams and he didn't have a conversation with in regards to telling him, even though he was a free agent. But I understand what Diaz was saying. It's like, hey, I've been your guy. Like, I'm here talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, have a conversation. Like, I'm all on board for getting this team better, but don't sign him and act like, I have to take a lesser of a deal because you signed Devin Williams and you have a backup plan. That's not my problem. And I think Diaz said, you know what? Fuck off. And I think he was sick and tired of this game that Stearns was playing and was like, why am I even going to bother for a counter? I don't want to deal with him. And that is the problem. David Stearns burns bridges. And that shit's hard to rebuild. And now there's other players that are probably never talked to him and now talking to him and was like, really, this is what you think of me? You don't want me enough. And that's what it is right now. And that's how it goes. That's why we're probably not going to get anybody of significance. And to what extent can we deal with this as fans? Again, we've been through the shit, right? We've ran through it. We grinded through the shit of all these bad years with the Wilpons and just spilling us all this nonsense and Jed Lowry and all this nonsense, shit like that, like hyping these players up and not making the moves necessary to get better. And it's just the way everything has just like flipped the script. Like this feels like Wilpon era 2.0 right now. It really does. We don't know the results yet, but damn, it feels like it. I don't know if you agree, Heck, but
Yeah, no, listen. Like you said, those moves were made, and it was like, okay, on their own, this is not good.
yeah.
But let's see what the follow up is. Well, we've seen what the follow up has been. Follow up has been nothing. Rob, I totally expect in the next couple of days for us to get a signing of some no names because that's usually what happens. Another team makes some big moves, some big noise, or makes a nice signing, a big player signs here, and we follow up with the Mets sign Blasey Blah from the Korean League, or they signed Blasey Blah, who is coming back from 3 Tommy Johns. You know what I mean? And then you'll have the Stearns apologists who say, "Oh, but that's how you build the roster. That's how you build the team. That's how you fill the minor leagues. That's how you build depth, and so on and so forth." Okay, keep building depths. Keep building depth. Listen, like I said earlier, David Stearns shows some guts. He
Yeah.
showed some guts. He heard us and he said, "I don't give a damn." He played games and he challenged these guys. There's only so much you can challenge guys with. Go out there and go out there. You ain't got no market. I challenge you to go out there and get a 5-year deal, Pete. I challenge you to go out there and get more money than what you left on the table, Edwin Diaz. Oh, I'm gonna offer you this 3 for 6 years. There's some wiggle room here, but go ahead. Go ahead. See if you can find better than that. Well, they did. They did, and they said enough is enough. I'm not even coming back to you.
Yep.
Because look at what you said. I wonder about those communication skills. And I don't even wonder too much. Heard about it before, and as he was coming in here, and seen it play out
Yep.
so far in ways that you said it, I said it. We can debate whether Edwin Diaz had a right to feel offended and not feel offended. You could say he wasn't even part of the team technically because he chose to not be it. He chose to be a free agent. But ain't nobody tell me here, oh, he didn't want to be a Met. Why the hell didn't he want to be a Met? What made him not want to be a Met?
Yep.
Oh, Pete Alonso never wanted to be a Met. Nonsense. Nonsense.
They didn't want to be a Met under David Stearns.
Right.
That simple. That simple. And you know, I just can't blame these guys. I really can't. CP. Yes, was it yesterday when we had this conversation on Hot Stove? He called Diaz a sellout, and some other people did too.
Yeah.
And I didn't agree with that. And
Sal's been calling him a sellout. Like,
I understand why they did that, but after, if the way David Stearns negotiates and puts value on players and doesn't budge, if at all, it rubs people the wrong way. It rubs the players the wrong way. Like, when you're a free agent, when you go see a team, even if it's your own team, it's about whining and dining them, right? Making them believe in you and your team. This is why I want you here. This is what I think you can bring to this team. I don't think David Stearns does that. I think David Stearns says, hey, look, we evaluate you at this. I'm happy to go, a little bit higher, but this is our evaluation. And, here's an ultimatum. Choose ours or don't. And I think I truly believe that he is that much of a dick in negotiations that it doesn't affect him at all. He says, well, you don't want our deal? Great. Let somebody else overpay for you. And I'll go to the C-level free agent now. And then there will be people that will get excited about a C-level signing because there'll be one or two Met fans that said, oh, I knew I wanted that guy from the get-go. And, they act like he's a genius. And then this is the same guy that will have, a 5 ERA and suck, or a guy that, isn't good in this lineup and people can't wait to get rid of him. And this is what David Stearns does. He is the king of 3-year deals or less, and he loves reclamation projects. They're cheap. They're not that good. And he's a guy that, rubs that crystal ball and hopes for the best, and, has wishes and dreams and hope. And that's what he does. Because what he's building, or I don't know what he's building, but whatever he's putting together is with duct tape and Helmer's glue. That's what it is. That's what it is. Like, let's see if this holds up in the brutal weather of New York. Let's see how it works, because we know it's not going to work. I'm sorry. Find me a team that is doing what David Stearns is doing and winning World Series. All right. Somebody brought up, the Braves. Yeah, but you know what? The Braves traded for Matt Olson, right? The Braves traded for Soler that year when they won the World Series, right? They had needs and they went to go get them. That offseason, what did they do before they won the World Series? They got Matt Olson. Like, they made moves. Yeah, they supplemented them with great prospects, but they made moves. They got guys in here that they needed. I remember that season that they won. They were this close of, basically selling, and of course they beat the Mets right before the deadline. They felt good, and they were like, hey, we got to get outfield help. All our outfielders hurt. And they went out and got anybody they wanted. Now, it wasn't the best of names, but they pinpointed guys they wanted. They got them. And they ultimately won the World Series. That is the best example of what, quote unquote, David Stearns is trying to do here. But it's far and few between. It really is. Because that same bunch of prospects, what have the Braves done after that World Series? I know they won the World Series, but they haven't found, the fountain of youth or gold at the end of the rainbow. Look at the teams that are winning. The Dodgers back to back. How many homegrown guys do they have? One? Will Smith?
Right.
The Texas Rangers. We have one of their players now, Marcus Semien, who's a champion. Like, that was a bought team as well. And just look at the World Series teams. The last couple of seasons, even if they didn't win, runners up. All these guys bought rotations, bought big names. Like, I'm not saying to have 8 guys in your lineup that are all bought. And yeah, you could trickle in Alvarez and Beatty, and you know what, maybe Carson Bench. But you know what? Could we get proven guys in here before we worry about? And some of them haven't proved their worth yet. It's a ridiculous thought process, and it didn't work in Milwaukee because, again, have anybody checked the hands of Davis Stearns? Does he have any World Series rings? Because I must have missed them. His teams always fail, and I don't. I said to everybody this, and I told people this. Like, everybody's like, "Oh, well, let's make sure he can get us to the playoffs every year." So that's the goal. The goal is just to make the playoffs. That's not my goal. Heck, I know that's not your goal. Yeah, I want to make the playoffs. That should be a prerequisite.
Right. Although, we want sustain success. Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good if you're actually winning while you're having that sustained success. I don't want to be the Milwaukee Brewers. I'm sorry. You could tell me they've been better than us. They've been in more playoffs than us. All of that stuff is true. Where's the World Series? I was 10 years old in 86. 10. Some people weren't even born. There you go.
Yeah.
It's going to be 40 years this year since we
man.
won a damn World Series.
Yeah.
I've had enough. Sustained success, my ass. Give me a World Series and then work on sustained success.
You know,
somebody actually asked me not too long ago, Rob. Sorry, you prefer to win just one World Series in the next 20 years or to be in the playoffs, be consistent, be competing for the next 10, 12 years? Give me the fucking World Series. Are you crazy?
Heck, why do we still talk about the 86 Mets? Right? They're still glorified by Mets fans, even Mets fans who didn't even see them play, myself included, because they won. And I'm sorry, there's no Met fan that can tell me if today they put a paper on the table and the future is written. All you have to do is sign it and it comes true. The Mets make the playoffs the next 7 years. No guarantee of a World Series, but make the playoffs all 7 years. Right? There's no prediction of how if they win or not. You just know they're going to make the playoffs. But let's say those 7 years they don't win a World Series. They might make the NLCS. They might even make a World Series, but they ultimately don't win the World Series. Making the playoffs every year is fun, and it sounds great to Met fans because we're not used to it. But that gets stale. When you continue to lose in the playoffs, like we're in the same town with Yankee fans who constantly complain about making the playoffs every year because it's not enough. I'm not saying to be like them, but you see it gets stale when you continue to make the playoffs and you continue to fail. And that's what's going to happen with the Mets. And it might sound, Rob, you definitely would want the Mets to make the playoffs every year. Sure, I would. It gives us an opportunity. But you know what? When year 6 comes around and you make the playoffs 6 years in a row, and this goes for the Brewers too, by the way, when they won, I think they made the World Series 6 out of 8 years that Davis Stearns ran that team. They didn't win the World Series. Like, that is the ultimate goal, right? It should be a guarantee. Obviously, injuries matter and all that, but on paper, you shouldn't even worry about trying to make the playoffs. It should be easy, and it's easier to make the playoffs now. That's what's even sadder. It's easier to make the playoffs with 3 teams in a wild card. It's ridiculous, and it's like, yeah, we can get a lot of luck this year, but do you want to have a luck type of season where you have no expectations? Like 2024 was fun, but it was a mirage. I don't want those good luck. I don't want those lucky seasons. It always feels good in the moment, but it's hard to repeat that type of magic, especially when there wasn't a lot of talent on that team. Heck, it really wasn't. Wasn't a lot of talent. It was a lot of has-beens that had good seasons and a lot of veteran guys that came out of nowhere, and we know who we're talking about. That's the issue. Like, it's hard to remake that magic. And I don't know if David Stearns is trying to do that or what. But on December 10th, it looks like a shit show, and it continues to look like a shit show. And he's looking more and more like a fool, even though he might not care what we think, and clearly he doesn't. You look like a freaking idiot. You look like you have no idea what you're doing. You are the laughing stock of the league right now. And the LOL Mets live on because the organization doesn't change. It's people, but the same shit. Like, this team steps in the wrong shit every time they walk into City Field. It makes no sense at all. Like, it's not hard to put a proper team together. Unless you're in a complete rebuild, you understand the process. But when you're trying to put a good team together, you already have talent. You already have superstars. You already have stars. I mean, most of them gone now, but you had all stars. You had superstars.
Yeah, he obviously didn't
All you
believe.
had to do was put a supporting cast around it. And you rather
That's the
just
thing,
blow
Rob.
it
He
up.
didn't believe in them, though, Rob. He didn't believe that they were good enough to win. He didn't
But he
believe they were
believes
good
in
enough.
reclamation projects.
But
And
and that's the thing, like Pete Alonso, Edwin Diaz, and even Brandon Nimmo are not why we didn't win. We didn't win because you didn't put the right team around them.
yeah,
Because Billy Epler didn't put the finishing touches around it before him.
yeah.
That's why we didn't win. And again, we've all questioned this core. We've all questioned them as a whole, individually. We've questioned the chemistry. We've questioned the know-how, all of that. So we may look a little hypocritical right now. But all we're asking for is honesty. All we're asking for is honesty. Shout out to Cindy again. She says, hope and luck are not winning strategies. That's what the owner told us.
Yeah.
That's
And
what
his
the owner
GM,
told us. But what the hell are we doing? And then someone else, who was it? True Mannequin, who says it's Stern's teams now. In the beginning of the offseason, Rob, I did a video as part of my morning blunt where the whole theme of the video was we're gonna find out if David Stearns has autonomy. There's that word. Remember, that word was famous under Omar Minaya. Autonomy, right? But we were gonna find out if David Stearns had the autonomy to run this team. Boy, it's clear.
yeah,
Because in my opinion, the way we were gonna find out was what happens with Edwin Diaz and Pete Alonso.
yeah,
The way that situation was handled and that they're no longer here tells me 1,000% this is David Stern's team now. This is his puppy now. This is his project, and he's gonna build this team as he sees fit. Steve Cohen is allowing him to do it. To be fair,
which he should.
that is not necessarily a bad thing.
Correct.
That's what you want. You want
Correct.
an owner with the resources to provide the resources and let the baseball people do what they do. I just hope that baseball person that he stepped aside for right now and has given the full keys to the house to knows what the hell he's doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's all you hope for. And you want to either you want to give him the reins, fine, but he'll if it works, if he doesn't, he'll get burned. It's just, and that's fine. Like I says, I don't think owners should be meddling in baseball operations. I think the guy you hired do the job, and give him, like you said, give him the resources. Like, I can assure you, if David Stearns calls Steve Cohen tonight and says, "Hey, you know what? I really like Kyle Tucker. I really do, but it's going to take this and this." You think Steve Cohen's going to say no? No, he'll definitely say yes. But it's clear David Stearns is telling Steve Cohen, "I don't want to give Pete Alonso 5 years, or I don't want to, overpay for Edwin Diaz. I don't like the Nimmo contract. I want to trade him." This was all a conversation with Steve Cohen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if Framber Valdez becomes a New York Mets because David Stern says, "Hey, I really like Framber Valdez. He's a bulldog, pitches a lot of innings, ground ball pitcher, 6 years, close to 200 mil." Steve Cohen's gonna, it's in his pocket. Hold on. Let me flip those hundreds. Of course he would. Absolutely. And, and,
1,000%.
and that is the problem. This is Steve Cohen is allowing David Stearns to either be here a long time by having this go right, or letting him slowly destroy this team, and he'll be looking for a new job rather quickly. And I just want to, there's another super chat here from Mashin about my comment earlier. Rob, bro, I would take the playoffs every year. Yankee fans need to shut the fuck up for real. Yeah, that's not the point. It's not about, of course, we all want to make the playoffs every year. But when you make the playoffs every year and you don't win a World Series, it gets stale. Because there's something there you're not doing either at the trade deadline or in the offseason to not get you over that hump. That is the problem. And that gets stale after a while. I can care less about Yankee fans. But what we're talking about here is the fact that the Yankee fans expect championships, right? When you see your organization continue to lose year after year after year in the playoffs, and it's consistently either sometimes it's pitches, sometimes it's hitting, they always go back to the offseason. We couldn't hit. We need help around Aaron Judge or somebody else. When your organization doesn't do that, it's like, well, why do you think it's going to change if you don't fix what is the problem? So making the playoffs is great. In the moment, it sounds because it's far and few between for us with playoffs. Mostly choke jobs. This is what we deal with. So it sounds exciting, but don't tell me you'll be okay with making the playoffs and finding ways to lose every year in the playoffs, because all that shows is that you didn't do enough or make the right moves to get your team to the promised land. So that means you failed. So if David Stearns makes the playoffs 7 years in a row and you don't win a World Series, does he deserve to keep his job? Clearly he ain't right. He didn't bring in the right guys. He didn't make the right moves, or he didn't make the move at all. And the constant problems persist, whatever it might be in the playoffs, and you don't address those needs. This is where it becomes an absolute problem. So heck, an hour into this, I'm glad you were on. I'm glad we got to have a show together. It's been a long time, and it's probably in the worst moment in a while for us in regards to an off season. Give me your final thoughts and let everybody know about your channel and what you're going to be doing with your channel. Go to sleep.
Right. Can I go to sleep and wake up when this is all over? Can we do that? I mean, my thought is that, man. My thought is that it is now. We now know that it's fully David Stern's team. See, what people are saying, if this team doesn't make the playoff this year, if this team doesn't this, doesn't that, is David Stern's going to get fired? I think it depends. It's obvious that Steve Cohen is endorsing what he's doing. He's behind the plan. The plan has to totally collapse. And last season is not going to go, I don't think, as much of a negative against David Stearns and Steve Cohen's eyes as we may look at it as. So I don't know how long the leash is. For me, it's not too long. I need to feel good about whatever the hell happens going forward, both in the offseason and then how this team actually plays, right? Because paper's one thing, but the game isn't played on paper. The game is played on dirt and grass, right?
Yep.
Between two white lines.
Yep.
So depending on what I see there is where I'm going to decide and say, oh, my heart is going to decide how I feel going forward and how much more I'm willing to give David Stearns. But call it rebuild, call it retooling, call it whatever the hell you want. We had the bridge year. Now we got the retool year. Okay, we'll see.
And
2028, ladies and gentlemen. 2028. It's me. You guys know, man. I got my blunt thoughts. I got the YouTube. Find me on X at HHEC13, Rob, not 12.
sorry,
13.
sorry. I know
Not
I
the
fucked
favorite
that up.
number. Not all good, all good. And the YouTube, I think the YouTube is blunt thoughts 13. I actually got a show coming up with my guy Eddie, and I think we'll have another guest on and all that good stuff.
Nice, nice, nice.
Um, man, I told the people earlier when I did my thing. I just because I did my own thing a little while ago. Because I like you know, I think you did a live earlier by yourself,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
I
yeah.
had to get on, and I've been talking too much about this Pete Alonso thing, so I had to get on. I told the people you're gonna get tired of me today because then I knew we were doing this, and I had already the stuff playing with Eddie and all that. But that's what's going on with me. You know, I'm the disingenuous fan. I'm the loudmouth, the irrational, emotional guy. But hey, that's what happens when you're a Met fan. We love hard, bro. We love hard. So I'll still be there. You could call me a hypocrite when I'm there opening day and when I'm there freezing my ass in April and May. But I guarantee you it won't be as much as I've been. Not unless I see something drastic happen the rest of this offseason. But
Yeah,
the longest closing you ever hear, Rob, you know me. My
yeah.
bad.
Hey, it's all good, man. And you know what? There's one thing I know for sure. When the season starts, I don't have to talk about Pete Alonso and the hate anymore.
Yeah.
I don't. Hey,
Yeah, that
unfortunately,
conversation is done.
I'll find somebody else to hate. I promise. Just to keep it going. But Shark in the comments said, you know, are we bringing back the round table? We're gonna we're gonna figure something out because it was awesome that time when we did it, and
Yeah, shout out to Hayden. I think I saw Hayden in here. He was in my
he was
live a
in there
little
too.
while
Yeah,
ago.
yeah, yeah. Like I said, you know, if it's gonna be the same four guys, that would be cool. You know, I know a lot of people had like I know Hayden had school. Chris was still, you know, out there. You know, it just became a mixture of schedule and shit because I was never around anymore. I was moving. It was a shit show. It was mostly my fault. It wasn't these guys. It was mostly mine. I ain't gonna lie about that. But we're gonna look into it for sure, especially for next season. And we'll look at the off days for the year, and that's usually when we do a roundtable, and we'll see how it goes. So heck, it's always a pleasure. Enjoy you doing the show tonight, right? You said
Yeah, yeah. In a little while, about 8:30 or so.
okay.
You know, I'm Dominican, so we always start late. But I about 8:30 or so. But listen, man, I appreciate all the love, man. Every time I come over, Rob, all of you Rob guys always show me a lot of love. I appreciate it. Some of you actually come and watch my stuff. I appreciate it. Ray, what the heck? You don't even know, bro. You don't even know. That's what I'm gonna say. Something like that was kind of in the works, and we'll see what happens, man. But I appreciate it. But yeah, thanks, Rob. It's always a good time. Mets roundtable, you let me know, man. That was tons
Yes,
of
sir.
fun. So
Yes.
we'll work it out.
Yes, sir. So Winter Meetings is coming to an end. This is the last special edition of Mets Hot Stove Winter Meetings edition. So again, thanks to Heck. Check out Hector on his channel in about 20 minutes or so with Eddie and a guest. So have a good night, guys. Let's go Mets, and let's see if Stearns surprises us, guys. Have a great night, guys.
Meet the Mets, meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife.